All right, everybody. Welcome to the Contextual Christian Church Bible study, where today we're going to read Isaiah chapter 14, verse 23 to chapter 15, verse 4. I'm going to pray it in. Everybody bow your heads. Father, thank you for getting us on this Bible study today to continue through Isaiah, to gain more context, gain more lessons, and to figure out what else you have in store for what else is going on in that particular situation. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right. Amen. So, last time we had finished up almost with chapter 14. We'll finishing it up today. But we were continuing with this burden of Babylon, how Babylon was going to be destroyed, and how the king of Babylon during this time frame was being compared to Lucifer. It wasn't saying that Lucifer was a man who was trying to exalt himself above God. It was saying that the king of Babylon was trying to exalt himself above God. And it was doing a lot of comparisons and talking about how, oh, you think you're special. And man, did it go into detail of how the ones that are in hell, that are already dead and gone, all these kingdoms and people, that they're going to be looking at him with, as it pointed out, a narrow look, like they barely giving him the time of day, and they'll look at him with this question. And this really summarizes the whole sarcastic tone of the entire thing. Is this the man that made the earth tremble, that did shake kingdoms? In other words, we was really supposed to be worried about him? Who the frick is he? And lastly, we had, in going through after the sarcasm of the people in hell, we had God explaining about the slaughter that's going to be taking place with Babylon, how there's going to be no one living there anymore. It's not going to be possessed anymore. And how God himself is going to be the one who rises up against him. And after pointed out earlier about it being through Midian. And the point that in 22, where the last thing we read was that he's going to cut off everyone's name from Babylon, including their remnant, their leftovers, their sons, their nephews, everybody. I mean, nobody of Babylon left. And that's where we ended up finishing off. So today we'll continue from verse 23, as I'll switch it to our first section so our first reader can read. And go ahead, Charles, when you're ready.
All right. I'll be reading Isaiah chapter 14, verses 23 to 27. Give it a couple seconds. Verse 23. I will also make it a possession for the bittern in pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts hath sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass, and as I have purposed, so shall it stand, that I will break the Assyrian in my land, and upon my mountains, tread him under foot. Then shall his yoke depart from off them, and his burden depart from off their shoulders. This is the purpose that is purposed upon the whole earth, and this is the hand that is stretched out upon all the nations. For the Lord of hosts hath purposed, and who shall disannul it? And his hand is stretched out, and who shall turn it back? Let me get a drink of water real quick. Hold on.
No problem.
Now my mouth's all dry. So let me start at 23. I will also make a possession for the bittern in pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Lord of hosts. So 23, it sounds like we're still we're we're still talking about Babylon in a sense where he's talking about I will make a possession for the bittern, and the bittern being Let me go back to this. A species of bird. So he's also adding to the Babylon situation that he's going to take the possession of Babylon and leave it for the bird, a species of a bird, the bittern.
It's for the birds.
I wonder if they got it from this. For the birds and for pools of water. So it's just going to be like water there. That's going to be in this place or in Babylon specifically. And then after the semi, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction. Let me go to besom. Apparently, the nominative from H2916, a broom as removing dirt. And I will sweep it with a broom of destruction, saith the Lord. So you're gonna, well, we've already talked, and you brought it up in your summary how God is gonna destroy Babylon and no one's gonna come back to rebuild it. No one's gonna do this or do that. Well,
Let
it's
it
gonna,
never be said that God does not care about cleanliness.
yeah, I'm gonna leave it for birds, for water, in a broom of destruction. Oh man, that destruction to leave it clean. That's funny.
So that's how you know
Then
it was spotless.
yeah, to this day. Next, in 24, the Lord of hosts has sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass. And as I have purposed, so shall it stand. There was a semicolon. Okay, I did read that right. So 24 goes with 25, that I will break the Assyrian in my land and upon my mountains tread underfoot. So when he says in verse 24, he's just saying, in other words, what I've already thought about, what I've purposed, what I've already said that I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
In verse 25, that's the thing he's going to do, break the Assyrian in his land, in God's land. And the Assyrians are going to be walked on. So he's going to break the Assyrians in his land and they're going to be walked on his mountains. After that, after he breaks them, after they're treaded on, after they're walked all over, then it talks about, then shall his yoke depart from off them and his burden depart from off their shoulders. Now, that still sounds like, because we are changing it from the Babylon to the Assyrian, now that sounds like the yoke and the burden off the Assyrian shoulder, not the Babylon shoulder. I know we talked about that last
Nope.
time, but oh, could it be still the Babylon shoulder? Because we
Nope.
did talk about that before.
Not the Babylon either.
From off them. So we have the Assyrian, the Babylon. The other only yoke or that I could think of would be Israel
Yeah.
yoke.
Who is the one who's burdened right now in the context we've been reading? It's been the children of Israel. So, in other words, God, through this destruction of Babylon, is also using it to destroy the Assyrian so that he can break the yoke off the children of Israel. It's a domino effect that's being
Okay.
described.
Okay. Which is also funny.
And the reason we know it can't be the Assyrian is because then shall his yoke depart from off them, and his burden depart from off their shoulders. Well, the Assyrians weren't burdened by they weren't enslaved to the Babylonians. They leaned on them. They were partners at times, but they weren't enslaved like that. The children of Israel were. So God is explaining, and Isaiah is explaining through here a domino effect of the destruction of Babylon will also cause the breaking of Assyrian, which will lift the yoke off of the children of Israel.
Got it. Yeah, yeah, because the Assyrians, I don't ever remember them being on the yoke or them being servitude or anything.
Exactly. That's where the surrounding context, which would be that part, that's where that matters.
Got it. So
Does
this
that make
domino
sense, Thomas, as well?
Yep.
All right. Then go ahead and continue, Charles.
so this domino effect that we've been talking about with Babylon going into the Assyrians to break that yoke off of the children of Israel's shoulders, to break their burden, get that burden off their shoulders. And then verse 26, this is the purpose that is purposed upon the whole earth. And this is the hand that is stretched out upon all the nations. That's just another way of saying, well, because it's with 27. It's, God is doing this, in other words. God is doing it for the purpose. This is God's hand that's doing this, in other words.
Exactly.
But then in verse 27, let me make sure I say this right. For the Lord of hosts hath purposed. Now, this is a sarcastic, and who shall disannul it? I'm going to go to disannul, but when I first heard disannul before this, it was like a breaking of a contract.
Yeah.
Like you're going, you're breaking up. You were supposed to do something, but you disannulled it, so you voided it. You broke what you were supposed to do, but you didn't do it. Would that be the same thing here?
Well, no. Um, to annul a contract is to void it. So to disannul it is who could prevent it.
Sorry, you said who can prevent it. Would you saying like that as an example of disannul?
Yeah, because to
Okay,
annul a contract is to change it. Who shall disannul? Who could stop the change? Who could prevent this?
which is a sarcastic question he's asking because no one can.
Exactly.
And his hand is stretched out. Who shall turn it back? No one. That was his sarcastic way of saying who going. In other words, who gonna stop me? No one's gonna stop you, God.
Who gonna stop me?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly right. All right. Now, does anybody have any comments or questions about the first section as we go to the second one? Now would be the time to raise your hands. All right, then Thomas, go ahead, unmute, and go ahead when you're ready.
Okay. 1 second. I'll be reading Isaiah 14, chapter 28, verses 32. In the year that the king Ahaz died was his burden. Rejoice not thou, O Palestina, because the road of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's roots shall come forth a cockatrice. Cockatrice? Is that correct?
Chris, yep.
Cockatrice. And his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. And the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety. And I will, hold on, and I will kill thy root with famine, and he shall slay thy remnant. Ow, O gate, cry, O city, thou whole Palestina are dissolved, for there shall come forth, for there shall come from the north a smoke, and none shall be alone in his appointed times. What shall one then answer the messenger of the nation? That the Lord hath founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it. So in 28, it's talking about in the year that King Ahaz died, where is where this burden took place. Is a time frame in which this burden took place. And then in
You didn't explain, which means what does that mean?
it's just giving us a time frame.
Well, what does that mean? What's the
What
impact
do
of
you
that?
Doesn't it help us separate different time frames from the
There you go.
co- okay,
So what we're reading is a whole different context.
right.
We finished with the burden of Babylon, and now we're
Yeah,
talking about a burning during the day, during the year that the king Ahaz died.
I love that. Absolutely.
You got to specify that because the giving the time frame, you all by saying that you haven't explained what's there, you've just reread what's there. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Yep.
I go ahead and
So am I saying,
continue.
hold on, am I saying this correct? Palestina?
Yep.
Okay, just making sure because it didn't sound right to me. All right, so I'm gonna reread
Well,
29 real
that's
quick.
because it goes by another name today.
Palestine.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna read 29 one more time. Rejoice not thou, whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's roots shall come forth a cockatrice,
Cockatrice.
cockatrice. Gotta find out what that is. And his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. Okay, so this is speaking speaking to Palestina here. Hold on one second, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's roots shall come forth a cockroaches, and his fruit shall be a fiery monster. This is crazy. Speaking of Palestina here, talking about how the rod has been broken, and because of that, there's going to be a serpent who comes from who shall come from a cockroach or something. Let me see what that is real quick, because that sounds crazy. But watch it be simple.
Before you continue, this is what a cockatrice is.
Oh wow,
And it has the tail like a dragon does, the wings, but it's like a rooster.
that's crazy. Okay.
Let's see if I can find another picture. Yeah, that'll work. That's another
Part
example.
part dragon, part rooster.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. For out of the serpent's fruit shall come forth a cockatrice, and its fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. So we got this cockatrice coming forth.
You got quiet somehow.
Can you hear me?
Yes, but I don't know what happened. You sound different.
How about now?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. You sound different. You sound like you're almost robotic
Uh,
now.
what's going on?
Sounds like your headphone speaker.
It's still on Bluetooth. Let me check.
But what?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you enough to understand, but it does sound like you're speaking through a remote.
Let me try to reconnect to my headset, see if that helps it. Give me one
Okay.
second. Okay, how does that sound?
Sounds a little better.
So, Matt, the text is kind of going out. I don't know if that's on your end or my end, but it's kind of like fading in and out from blurry to not. So that might be an issue
Uh,
there.
Not mine. I'm on Wi-Fi. Charles, is it blurry on your end?
It was
No,
blurry for a hot. Okay,
no, I'm on Wi-Fi.
so I guess it's
Okay,
probably
so it's
my
got to be your
connection.
signal.
Yeah. All right, back to this cockatrice. Let me read that last half. For out of the serpent's roots shall come forth a cockatrice, and its fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. So we got a cockatrice coming forth, and it says the fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. So he gonna be going around causing havoc, wreaking havoc. That's what his
Uh,
truth.
does that sound literal to you?
No, I know definitely not. It's not literal, but I'm trying to explain this cockatrice.
Okay.
That's what I see as that happen, like going around burning stuff up and whatnot. But the the metaphor is example of the punishment that's going to be taking place on Palestina. Um, but in relation to how, I don't understand the cockatrice. I'm not gonna lie.
All right.
I'm
Let's
gonna
go.
keep
Let's
guessing.
go by each part. Rejoice not thou, hold Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. What would that mean?
Y'all, now's not the time to celebrate, to rejoice, because it says because of rod of him that smote these, because of people that been like attacking y'all is broken. Like they've stopped it, ceased.
No.
Now's not the time to
Is
rejoice because of that.
Palestine Israel?
No,
So why are you making it sound like Israel? It said,
because it says
"Rejoice not thou." Rephrase that in today's language?
now's not the time to rejoice.
Nope.
Okay, that's what I'm going wrong right there then.
Yep. That's your first screw up, and that's setting everything else up to fail. What does thou
Yeah,
mean?
you or
Good.
yeah, yeah, okay.
Rejoice not you, hold Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. Did anything of that say a time frame at all?
No.
Exactly. So try again.
So don't be rejoicing, Palestina. Is that a better way to put that?
Exactly.
Okay,
Don't
don't
be
be rejoicing,
rejoicing,
Palestina.
Palestina.
Don't be rejoicing, Palestina. And then it says, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. So the rod of him. So when I hear that, I'm thinking of somebody else doing a smoting to them. It says it's broken.
Yep.
Okay. So don't rejoice, Palestina, because the people who's been smoting you is broken.
Exactly. Now, if I'm telling you not to rejoice because the people that smote you are broken, what am I telling you?
You're not out of the water just yet. Just because that,
Yeah, there you
yeah.
go. Don't think you got it all nice. Don't think it's sweet out here just because the rod of the one that was smiting you is broken.
Mhm.
Then it goes into the next part.
For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice. So the serpent, the devil or the evil one,
Yeah, most likely.
okay,
Remember,
shall
what
come
does the
forth
serpent represent in the Bible?
the snake.
Exactly. And where have we read about a snake and a serpent?
Genesis,
Exactly. And what was it always a reference to?
the devil.
Exactly. So don't be
So
rejoicing just because the rod of him that smote you is broken, because out of the root of the serpent, there's going to come forth a cockatrice, this monster, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. Now, what is fruit represented of in the Bible when it says someone's fruit
uh,
or the fruit of something?
It's what they bear.
Exactly. So don't be sitting here thinking you're all good, this whole Palestina, just because the rod of the people that smote you is broke. Because out of the root of the serpent, is going to come forth the cockatrice, and what he produces is going to be a fiery flying serpent. Now, what does a fiery flying serpent sound like?
Dragon.
Exactly. So this
Okay.
cockatrice is going to produce a dragon. And then verse 30.
And the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety. And I will kill thy roots with famine, and he shall slay thy remnant. So it's saying that the firstborn of the poor they still feed, like they. So it looks like everything is the people who's been down are finally starting to be lifted up in a sense in any form factor.
There
So
you go.
the firstborn of the poor, they're feeding now. They're getting what they need, the nutrients, and that could also imply resources too, correct? Or
Yep.
we're just gonna keep it okay, resources as well. And then it goes into and the needy shall lie down in safety. So now the needy people are able to finally have what they need to rest and safely, like to, to rest safely without having to worry about anything. And then it
Now,
says, go
with
ahead.
that in mind, this sounds very similar to what we were reading before in Charles's section. This could possibly be a comparison of Babylon and the Assyrian to here, which is why they put it in verse 28 rather than its own chapter. Don't think you're good, Palestina, just because the one that was smiting you is broken, because there's going to be another one that comes out that's going to be even worse. And at the end of it all, the firstborn of the poor, they're going to be able to eat. The ones that are needy, they're going to be in safety. But it's your root that's going to get killed with famine. And he's going to kill your remnant.
Hmm.
Does
So
that
the
make sense?
firstborn, yep. So the firstborn and needy are being raised up, but the roots of Palestina are being killed off in the lineage too. I mean, the
Exactly.
remaining of Palestine is getting killed off too.
Exactly.
Then we
So they put it in the same position comparatively to Babylon and Assyria, how by Babylon being destroyed, Assyria gets broken down too. It doesn't get away with it. They still get broken down, and through that the children of Israel get the burden off of them. In the same token here, Palestinians is getting broken down, but it's pointing out that even though the one that was above them is getting broken, don't think it's sweet. Don't think you're going to be able to get out of it because you're going to be broken down too. Palestina. So do you get the metaphor in 29 now?
just said it. Don't think it's sweet because the people above you are being broken down. Because because through the serpent is going to come an even greater threat for you guys.
Exactly. If you look at the serpent, then to the cockatrice, then to the fiery flying serpent, all three of these are types of serpents,
Yeah.
but each one is a deadlier one than the last. The original serpent is not as deadly as a cockatrice, and a cockatrice is not as deadly as a fiery flying serpent. These are showing levels and how it's going to progress. All right. Go ahead and
For pointing
continue
it
with
out.
31.
So now it's like, yo, cry out, Palestine, all y'all, because this is the further shall come from the north is smoke, and none shall be alone in his appointed time. Hold on one second.
Mm-hmm.
Art dissolved, for thou shalt come forth from the north a smoke, and none shall be alone in his appointed time. So nobody's gonna be able to escape this. Cry out all you want. Is that what they're saying here? Is what I'm
Exactly.
okay. Nobody's gonna be able to escape this. Then in
Exactly. Go ahead and cry out. What you think
yeah,
that's going to do? This is exactly like in the movies when somebody is brought to a dungeon or someone where no one can hear their cries, and they bring up that go ahead, scream at the top of your lungs because nobody can hear you. That same level of concept or fear that is trying to be introduced by the villain in that part of a movie is the same concept of understanding that God is trying to give to the land of Palestina here in verse 31. All right, go ahead and go with 32.
that's crazy to think about. Like, you ain't getting no help around. Nobody ain't here to help you. You about to go through this.
Exactly.
Let me read 32 one more time. What shall one then answer the messenger of the nation? That the
Messengers.
Lord hath messengers of the nation. As the Lord hath founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it. What shall one then answer the messengers of the nation? That the Lord hath founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it. Okay. So, hold on. What shall one then answer the nation? Messengers of the nation. So, correct me if I'm wrong. What is
Yeah.
what it what do you what's up?
You said, correct me if I'm wrong, then proceeded to say nothing. And so I was like, yes, that's definitely wrong.
What shall one then answer the messengers of the nation? So it sounds like messengers of the nation want so Palestine is doing the answering. It says what shall one then
What?
answer? Hold on one
Where did
second.
it say Palestine is answering? You just
Oh, sorry
added
about that.
something.
So
Yeah,
what shall one then answer the messengers of the nation? So we
exactly.
got messengers coming to Palestine.
No. Where did it say to Palestine?
So just keep Palestine out of the equation.
Yeah, why would you add that? What makes you want to add
Because
that?
this whole section was about Palestine,
Was it?
about the punishment that's about to take place on them and how they're being done
Nope.
with.
Think you missed the greater picture.
Oh, so correlation to the Babylonians and how that took place.
Has to do with it, but no. But finish 32 and with your guess, and then I can explain it more.
It also has to do with the children of Israel and how they're being
You're
believed that
focusing too
they're
much on the details. Finish 32.
okay. So what shall one then answer the messengers of the nation?
Is one specific?
No,
Exactly. That's where you're screwing up. Is this literally saying what to answer them? Is this an
no,
actual question?
no, it shouldn't be. No.
Exactly. It's a rhetorical question. What shall one then answer the messengers of the nation? That's like when Jesus and other places says, "What shall we say then?" They're not
Okay.
actually asking a question. They're saying, "What kind of response should be expected for this?"
Okay.
Does that
So
make
what
sense
kind
how
of
I got that?
yes. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. All
So
right,
what
then
kind of
go ahead and
response
continue.
should be expected of this? And then
From
it
this,
said
not of this. That's not the same thing.
from this. So from everything that's taking place is what he's saying? Like,
Yeah. From
okay,
everything I'm explaining, if somebody were to send messengers, what would be the correct response to them?
right. And then it says that the Lord hath founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it. So is that an answer to the rhetorical question? That the
Exactly.
Lord? Okay. So the Lord founded Zion, and the poor, like we were stating earlier, verses that his people should trust in it. They're being restored.
What? Where did it say restored, Thomas?
It's restored, not a good word. Okay, so they're so
Well, I don't want you to just ask. I want you to think about it. Remember, the goal
and the
is you figuring it out for yourself, right? I'm just here
yeah,
to
and the,
guide. What's wrong with the word restore?
sorry. So as in the previous verses, the reason why I said restored is because they were getting the things they once didn't have. And in that way, that's kind of being restored. That's how I looked at it, but that's not the right word. Then it says, "And the
Did it?
poor of
Well, hold on. Did it say that they were getting restored? Where did it say that?
I didn't say that it said they were getting restored, but the general aspect of getting the things that you didn't have,
Where did it say they're getting the things they didn't have?
like food, feed,
Well,
being able to lay
well, that's
down in
not a getting
a
things you didn't
place.
have. That's getting necessity. When you think of getting the things you didn't have, that's more of a connotation to stuff you have, not
True.
necessities. I mean, think about it in today's day and age, even still. If you were to say, when I grow up, I'm going to get all the things I never had, are you talking about necessities?
Yeah.
Huh?
You said when you grow up, are
If
you
you
want to
were
get
to
all the things?
say, if a person were to say, I'm going to have all the things I never did when I grow up, on a
No,
realistic
that's
answer, not technicalities, realistic answer, are they saying they're necessities?
no.
What? Exactly.
All the
So there's
wants.
a connotation to saying that they're getting back things that they didn't have. It means more than just necessities, connotational wise. And that's where your problem is. Your explanation for what they're going through is what's screwing you up for 32 in its explanation.
Yeah.
If you would have phrased it properly in the way you thought about 30, then you would have been able to get a better answer for 32. So rephrase your thinking on how 30 is explained and then give me that.
Okay. And the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety. And I will kill thy roots with famine, and he shall slay thy remnant. So I would the hold on. Sorry guys.
You're overthinking it. It's really
I
simple.
am.
It's really straightforward. What is the mentality of the poor and the needy in 30?
What is the mentality?
Yes, based on what's happening in 30.
They yeah, I really am overthinking this one.
What is the mentality of a poor person when they get food? Thomas, come on, bro. Just give an answer. This is so straightforward, it's ridiculous. What is the first thought that comes to a man who has poor when he finally gets some food?
Hear
Hello?
me? Hello?
There, now we hear you.
My bad. I thought y'all heard me the whole time. I said he's finally got food. He's happy.
No, that's his emotion. What's his mentality at the time?
I could eat like
Yes, I can finally eat.
yeah, my bad. I thought you guys heard me, man.
No, 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 no. It was dead silent. So
So
yeah, his
I can finally
mentality
eat.
is he can finally eat. In other words, I'm gonna be all right. I'm taken care of.
Mm.
The needy shall lie down in safety. Well, what mentality would somebody who's a needy person have to have in order to lie down in safety?
Everything's gonna work out.
There you go.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So they have a
So the
mentality that
way that
everything's
you
gonna work
should
out.
say it is everything is working out for the poor and the needy.
Okay.
Not that they're getting everything back, not that they're getting back the things they lost, but that everything's working out for them. Now go back to
Mm.
32, reread it with that in mind.
Everything's working out for them. Okay. What shall one then answer the messengers of the nation? That the Lord hath founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it. So, what shall one say? Hold on. What shall one say about everything that's taking place? And the response to that would be, the Lord has founded Zion, and everything's going to work out for the poor people, for the poor of his people, and now and they're trusting in Him that everything will work out.
Good. Only thing is, you didn't explain that the Lord hath founded Zion. What does founded mean?
So founded is like putting. Hold on, 1 second.
Do you know what founded means?
To like establish.
Yeah, to establish or create.
Yeah. So the Lord established Zion, and the people trust in Him that everything's going to work out.
Good. See how you were able to give the right answer when you started with the right premise?
Definitely, bro. Yeah, that's a major difference right there.
When you start by over explaining something incorrectly, you screw up your explanations for later on. Because you were thinking about them getting back stuff, adding more than what's actually there, they're not getting everything back. That's where you screwed up and read into restoring. We
Yeah.
haven't read once about restoration at all. We've only read about the necessities being taken care of. All right. Now, with that in mind, the bigger picture I was telling you about. But before I give the answer on that, Charles, do you know what the bigger picture is?
I'm still thinking about it.
All right. Thomas, do you know what the bigger picture is?
Doing away with all the oppressors of children of Israel, like the
Yeah.
okay.
Now, when looking at it, this is also being on that mindset of doing away with the oppressors of the children of Israel. Remember, we were reading about that in 9 and 10. about the end times and how there would be none around them. This could be a comparison to that, seeing as Babylon and Assyria was talking about, and it's bringing this along, that towards the end time about Palestina, and how the one that's above them would be no longer over them, but don't get comfortable, because that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to get away with what you're doing. And then we look at Palestine today. What is Palestine? What do they stand for, or what is their goal? One of their biggest goals. Charles?
Isn't their goal to take over Israel, the land of Israel, right now?
Well, not take over, to get rid of it. From the river to the sea means one state solution. Israel no longer exists. They want to destroy Israel. They want it no longer existing.
Got it.
But exactly that. So this could be a comparison into a future reference for Palestine, referencing them towards the end times in relevance to Babylon and Assyria. It's a possibility statement. It's not guaranteed from the context, but it does have a relevance of possibility based on the way it's formatted. The fact that Isaiah would bring this up and that would be written together in the same chapter right after bringing up Babylon and Assyria and the burden that was going on then. So, now, does anybody have any comments or questions about the second section as we go to the final one for today? Now would be the time to raise your hands. All right, then, Charles, go ahead and finish us out.
I'll be reading Isaiah chapter 15, verses 1 to 4. Give it a couple seconds. Verse 1. The burden of Moab, because in the night Ar of Moab is laid waste and brought to silence, because in the night Kir of Moab is laid waste and brought to silence. He is gone up to Baith and to Dibon, the high places, to weep. Moab shall howl over Nebo and over Medeba. On all their heads shall be baldness, and every beard cut off. In their streets they shall gird themselves with sackcloth. On the tops of their houses and in their streets, every one shall howl, weeping abundantly. And and Heshbon shall cry, and Elale, their voice shall be heard even unto Yahaz. Therefore the armed soldiers of Moab shall cry out, his life shall be grievous unto him. Well, we're back to Moab. So we start off with the burden of Moab. And my whole section has them all crying, weeping. No, oh no. This is crazy. And it's different parts of Moab that it talked about. They were going to be crying and weeping all in the streets. They're also going to be, their heads are going to be shaved. Beards are going to be cut off. They're going to be walking around with sackcloth. That's that little thing that covers your mid regions, like a Tarzan. If you think of Tarzan, think of the Tarzan cloth. So they'll be walking around with a Tarzan cloth, bald with no beards, crying and weeping. Even their soldiers crying and weeping. That's
Good.
crazy.
Now, there's one thing you forgot to bring up. Does
Let
this
me go
sound like
back
we're
to.
talking about the end times at all?
Does it? um. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I remember us talking about what's supposed to happen to Moab, this whole back and forth with Moab, but I think it's supposed to happen in either that time period, not in the like the
Yeah,
not in the last of days, but in that particular time period.
exactly. The time frame of when we were reading about Moab was during the 70-year exile time frame when Babylon was taken over. So this is why it's important to keep that in mind, is because if we were to read this in the context of the other ones as all being chronological connected, we have a major problem here. One, what are we talking about? What's the actual context? Two, is it talking about the end times or is it talking about those times? From the context, it looks like we are not talking about the end times, but rather talking about the 70 years of exile in that time when it was already prophesied about what was going to happen to the land of Moab and how that was going to be messed up and they were going to be screwed over. So it looks like we've gone back to talking about this subject. This is why it's important to keep in mind that the book of Isaiah, all these book of prophets, they're not all prophesying the New Testament. They're just prophecies written down and put together. So some of them have to do with it, some of them don't. And being the fact that they're not 100% chronological order on what they're discussing, if we don't keep that in mind, we can mix something that's not to be mixed. So good job, Charles. So
Okay.
now we're going through the prophecy of Moab for when they're going to be destroyed. Or not destroyed. Yeah, destroyed, laid waste, as we read about before. Now, do you guys have any comments or questions before we pray out the Bible study portion? Now would be the time to raise your hands. All right. Then, Thomas, go ahead, unmute, and pray us out for the Bible study portion.
All right. Can you guys hear me? Because my connection's one bar.
I can hear you.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, maybe we should have Charles pray us out.
Okay,
All right. If you guys can bow your heads. Can you hear me?
Oh, you
I
didn't
can
hear
hear
me.
you now.
Somebody said
Yeah,
okay.
we're gonna have Thomas. Thomas, we're gonna have Charles pray us out because your connection is so off and on.
Okay.
All right,
Uh,
go
all
ahead and
right,
mute Thomas, and then go ahead, Charles, when you're ready.
all right. Everybody, go ahead and bow your heads. Father, thank you for giving us the parts of Isaiah you did with going into talking about Babylon, talking about Assyria, Palestine, even all the way to Moab, and what you're going to end up doing. Your word is fine now, and your word, once you make your word, once you stand on it, you end up doing it. Also, thanks for making sure that Matt is on this Bible study so that way we can get the accurate time frames on when we're getting into talking about these nations and what's supposed to happen to these nations. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right. So now on to the Bible listening portion. So tonight's Bible listening is from Judges chapter 3. Is it to 13? Judges chapter 3 to 13. Let me know when y'all got it.
Got it.
Good. Charles?
Got it. Sorry. I got it.
All right, you need to be ready on that. We can't just be sitting here waiting on you. All right. So now last night's listening was Joshua chapter 14 to Judges chapter 2. Wait, why do I feel like we did that yesterday?
That's what I was just about to bring up. I was looking at it. I think we did that already because I had brought up remember I was talking about a warning, how Moses gave them a warning. Moses gave the children of Israel a warning. Then I read about how Joshua gave them a warning as well, and um
Yeah. I didn't
that's
write
why
it down on mine.
it was throwing me. I have the next one. You want me to say it?
Hold on. Yeah, today's the first. That's okay. That's where I screwed up. Um, so tonight's is Judges chapter 14 through Ruth chapter 4. Judges 14 to Ruth 4. And obviously, since I had not had it written down properly on my side, I don't have today's listening ready. But for Judges chapter 3 to 13, we'll have Thomas go first, and then have Charles go second.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you. Give me 1 second. Figure out which one I want to do. Oh, I like this one. Judges. Let me actually go to the Bible real quick. Hold on. I gotta start writing it down. I'm gonna just start writing down the verse section and have the Bible. I do it instead of trying to write down the whole thing. Okay. So my first section is gonna be Judges, uh, 7:19 through 22. I'm gonna read that real quick. So Gideon and the 100 men that were with him came into the outside of the camp in the beginning of the middle watch, and they had but newly set the watch. And they blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers that were in their hands. And the three companies blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers, and held a lamp in their left hand and a trumpet in their right hand to blow withal. And they cried, the sword of the Lord of Gideon. And they stood every man in his place round about the camp, and all his hosts ran and cried and fled. And the 300 blew the trumpet, and the Lord set every man's sword against his fellow, even throughout all the host. And the host fled to Bethel Shittah in Zerath, and to the border of Abel Meholah unto
Try
Tabitha.
that again.
Abel Meholah. Is
Nope.
it first? This is the first or second half? I'm getting it wrong.
You're close on it. The
Abel.
problem is the Abel. That's good. What does the H normally do when it's in a word?
The K sound like a
No.
no.
When the H is
Uh,
by itself in a situation like that, it's normally the phlegm sound, the ha.
that's what I was trying to do. The ha. My bad. I said K. The ha sound. So it's
Exactly.
Abel Meholah.
There
Meholah
you go. Good. Abel
to Tabitha.
Mehola.
Abba Meholah. Okay. So let me go back to my notes really quick. Okay. So long story short, the numbers that God needs to get a job done. But we have Gideon's tiny army of 300 surround the Midianites, which is crazy. And with torches and trumpets, and God causes like panic, making the enemy fight themselves. So they were going through it, boy. Let me tell you. Oh man. But the long story short, God doesn't need much resources to get the job done or whatever he needs to do. Like, dude, he could use one person to take out a whole army, just to give an example. But I just find it amazing how God works, and I find it funny how they were confused, I would say. And we're to the point they were fighting themselves.
Exactly.
But that's what I got,
Good.
guys.
Good one. All right. Charles, got anything you want to add on that?
No.
All right. The one thing that I want to add on it is, again, God is God. He does not need to, nor would he ever need to prove that he is God. If we were talking about necessity, because he's already by this point, how many things has he done to prove he's God, Thomas?
More than enough.
Exactly.
More
He's
than
done
enough.
more than enough. And yet he still is proving himself to this next generation. And so to me, it just goes to show the fact of how God takes into consideration our doubts, God takes into consideration our fears. That he's willing to do so much already up until this point, and then still do even more to prove who he is. God has never asked us for blind faith when we really think about it. He has always asked us for intelligent faith, faith according to context. And that's something that people get wrong. He's never asked for blind faith. He's asked for faith based on what he's already done and who he already has shown himself to be. That's not blind faith. Thomas, if I seen you cut down 15 trees, if I trust you to cut down a tree you've never seen before, is that blind faith?
No.
Exactly. All right. Go ahead, Charles, when you're ready with yours.
I got Judges chapter 8, verses 22 and 23. Um, I might, I think I skipped over this on the last listening. Um, then the men of Israel said unto Gideon, rule thou over us, both thou and thy sons' sons also, for thou hast delivered us from the hand of Midian. And Gideon said unto them, I will not rule over you, neither shall my son rule over you. The Lord shall rule over you. Isn't it crazy that after everything Gideon had went through, including what Thomas was talking about, they still want Gideon to be a king? And he's letting them know, no, God is ruling over you. Me or my generations ain't gonna rule over you. That's what God's
Exactly.
here for. And I find it crazy too because he has to correct them. Like, y'all have the tools, y'all have what y'all need. He didn't have to correct them. Y'all could have thought about it and been like, I think we're going about this the wrong way. No, because
Exactly.
because Gideon was the one that did this, that did that, and you guys beat the Midianites. Gideon has to roll over you. I wish I had another one because I want to bring up what he did right after my section. He did something super funny right after my section. But yeah, that's all I got. What you guys got to say?
All right, Thomas, you got anything to add?
Definitely a great addition to my part.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of funny because it's like the reverse of the joke of aliens. Instead of take me to your leader, it's will you be our leader? They're trying to get somebody else, anybody else except for God to be the one over them. You know what that reminds me of, and what that makes me think of? even with the fact that God was proving himself and they're still trying to request a human. The fact is that for children, if you spoil them, if you give them all they need and all they want without them having to earn it from the get go, as God did make them earn it later on, but it wasn't from the beginning, that they don't appreciate what they got until it's gone. Like you see kids like this all the time nowadays. When you got a parent who doesn't discipline on a regular basis, who lets them go and lets them just do whatever, the kid just does whatever. But when the parent is stern, the parent is strict, and it doesn't have to be hatred or unloving. You can still be strict or stern and be loving. But when they're not like that, kid just does whatever they want, just like goes all out. And that's really how the children of Israel have always been from the beginning. It's just like Moses said. It's like you've been disobedient from God since the day I met you. I'm not expecting you to stay faithful here. So let me tell you what's going to happen if you don't. And then we see what's going on here. All right. Now then, do you guys have any comments or questions before we close out everything? Now would be the time to raise your hands. All right. Then I'll go ahead and close it out. And Thomas, I'm glad you finally made it home. And Charles, I will see you when you get here. Is it going to be in the next hour?
Give me 30 minutes.
All right. See you then.
All right.
Bye, y'all.
Peace.